Welcome to the Divine Style podcast with Gerlinda, Stella and Alison, Maiden. Here we share spiritual lessons in self-love and self-expression so you can become the best version of you. In this episode, we discuss numerology, your life path and purpose, and what to expect in 2021. I'm Gerlinda, Stella. I'm a personal stylist and self-love coach.
And I'm Alison, Maiden. I'm a psychic medium, metaphysical lecturer and teacher, and Reiki master and teacher.
Today, I'm really excited to talk about numerology. This is a subject that is fairly new to me, and I understand numerology to be the meaning of numbers. This is something that you're really passionate about, Alison, and have done for a very long time.
Yes. Yeah, I actually found it so easy because I'm a Virgo myself, which is, of course, we're talking about an astrological sign here, but the Virgo is very practical and we like quick fixes. We like to be able to get things done. So for me, numerology was like a no-brainer because it's so fast. We can work it out so quickly, and each number has a vibration to it. Each number has an energy to it. So when we find out what that energy means to ourselves personally, we can then find out how it's going to impact on us from a day-to-day perspective. So whatever that vibration of that day is, month is, year is, it can actually help us to pick times to do certain things.
So we each have a life path number.
Yes, that's right.
And each number represents a different meaning in your life in particular. So how do you work out your life path?
Okay, so life path, you do your whole birth date. So if you're born on the 8th of August, for instance, you would say 8th of the 8th, and it might be 1985 or 83.
I'm happy to tell my age.
Okay. I just cautioned there. I was cautioning. Okay, so if you work out the full date of birth, it would be 88, right, plus 1983. So when we add all of those up together, we actually come back to a 1. Now, in numerology, you add everything up into the 10. So you're not going to add, say, 1 and 0 together comes back to a 1 anyway, doesn't it? 11's a master number, so we don't break that down.
Oh, so that doesn't end up as a 2?
No.
Okay.
And 22 is the same, and some numerologists will take it further to 33 and 44, but that's very high up. So we usually say 11 and 22 are the master numbers. Now, master numbers will basically be people that have actually done a lot of reincarnation or been an old soul and have come back to do some special jobs, okay? But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're better than other people. It just means that they've got maybe a greater soul understanding of certain things. And certainly 11s are very, very intuitive people usually.
Each number has a meaning.
Yes. So 1 is, of course, it's about self. 1 is a singular thing. So it's about climbing to the top of the pile, being number 1, being right at the top. Can't imagine you wanting to be like that. Never. And we solely rely on self to get there. So we're not relying on other people to prop us up, when we're a 1. That can make people sound a little selfish, and indeed the dark side of the 1s can be selfish. But we all have the light and the dark within us, of course. And so the positive side of the 1s, they're great leaders, and that they usually have very good ideas and are very quick thinking because they're the problem solvers. They're the ones that, as I say, climb to the top. So leadership is number 1.
Wonderful. That does sound very much like myself.
Number 2, of course, we've got the duality there. So the number 2s often rely on other people. They want to have the duality. They want to have the other person nearby. And so they will be very friendly, very warm, want to have relationships, want to be the person that is always there for the other person. So they can be very compassionate, giving, and sometimes to a fault, where they give too much, wanting to be liked, for instance, and so therefore doing too much for others. The 2 is also about duality in life. So they're the people that would actually have 2 jobs on the go at once, or a job and a hobby, or there's always duality. There's always 2 things happening in their life. 2s are wonderful friends. They're usually very loyal and always there for the other person.
It's a good one to keep note of. I'll find the 2s around.
We've also then got the 3. The 3 is a really interesting one because I'm around a lot of 3s. 3s are always in the public eye, usually to do with radio, television, anything that communication is a part of. So if you are a 3 life path, it's all about the communication. Now, when we say that, as I say, that there's a light and dark in everything, it can be, if you're a 3 life path, you have to learn to communicate. We often find, and I'm not being sexist when I say this at all, because it is actually very common for male 3s not to communicate. So they have to learn to communicate, or they have to learn to be able to say what they feel.
Could it be that 3s also, maybe a fault would be that they end up talking too much?
Oh my God, yes.
And not listening.
Yeah. Yeah. So the 3 is very much about the communication, but it's also about self-improvement. So it's actually making that connection between learning about yourself through others, rather than just talking and not taking in anything. It's actually learning to actually communicate. So you're taking on board the other person's point of view, not just talking over the top of them.
Wonderful. And so what's a 4?
4 is very much about stability. And so the 4 pillars, when we look at it in any aspect, in feng shui, for instance, the 4 pillars are the 4 corners of the house. It's about strength, it's about stability, it's about building security, not only in yourself, but also maybe monetarily. So 4s are usually very focused around that security. The security could be in the job, or it could be in, your love life. But definitely they would want to be in a solid relationship that is absolutely, and as much as you can be, safe, okay? And in work, they are the ones that are always thinking about the next step, as making money, making sure that they're going to be solid and secure for the future, and for their family as well. They're usually very family driven, actually, the 4s. They want to know that they've got that security for themselves and their family.
And what would be the dark side, like you said, or the shadow side of that?
Of course, greed.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but it's interesting, with that comes fear. But most people that are greedy are also very fearful of losing, because they think if they don't have enough, then what happens, so they fear poverty.
And so it sounds like they're a bit of a workaholic. So the workaholics in your lives.
Yeah.
Potentially
generally,
4s.
Generally the 4s. And 4s will often end up in financial positions and things like that. Yeah. The 5s are the adventurers. 5s, I love 5 people because they're usually the ones that are pack everything up on a whim, get in the back of the combi and off they go. Right?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think I've got a friend that's doing that right now. I wonder if she's a 5. I've got to go to her birthday.
There'll be a 5 influence there somewhere. So the 5s are, adventure, travel, expansion. They're usually the ones that aren't frightened to move, to immigrate, to go to other countries. They have a wonderful sort of expression on things, so that they will always think there's something better out there, and they're not scared like the 4s of taking a risk. They are the opposite. They'll usually take a lot of risks. The downside to the 5 can be chaos. It's like taking too many risks and causing too much chaos in their life, and so therefore there's always a drama. Okay.
This also sounds like my friend.
We must do her birthday. It will be very funny. So the 5, I love the 5 for so many reasons, but I think the 5s can really bring out the 4s and other people that are stuck and get too stuck in that security. So they're very useful people to have around.
And this is really interesting too, because numerology, with your friends, you would be surrounding yourself potentially naturally with people that are going to be a good fit with you, and then people that necessarily aren't a great fit, you'll notice in the numerology.
Well, the opposites attract thing comes in here, and there's a reason for that. If you're too stuck in one way, your opposite will come in to pull you into more balance. So
and as a 1, then you probably don't want too many 1s.
Yeah,
because then
too many cooks.
Leadership battles.
Yes, yeah. So then we come to the number 6. Now the 6 is a very gentle number. It's a very family orientated number. We're all about compassion, the 6. 6s will want to serve others, and they usually end up in jobs where they are helping people, nurses, doctors, paramedics, firemen. The 6 is about your compassion for other people and knowing yourself enough to be able to then help others. Now, it's a really interesting thing, isn't it? Because people who don't know themselves very well or wonder who they are or wonder what path they're on, they often are looking for things for themselves. And so that could be deemed as being a bit selfish, I suppose, if you're looking at it from an outsider's point of view, even though they are looking to search for that inner security, inner knowing. Whereas the sixes have already gone past that and they're moving into that let's make sure that everything I do is for others. So it can be the opposite end of the spectrum. It's selfless. The sixes are usually very selfless, meaning that they'll give too much. But you're such a softie. You're so beautiful.
I think everybody's beautiful.
You do. She does.
I'll be like, all the numbers are lovely. There's a lot of superstition when it comes to numbers.
Yes.
And even if we think of the number 6, obviously 666, people go devil's number.
Mark of the beast.
And the reason, because we're coming to 7 is often seen as quite a holy number or a heavenly number. Is that reflected with the people?
Well, of course, remember way back in our first podcast where we were talking about the levels. The seven chakras, or the 7th level, and then we've got 7th heaven. We've got, it's all very much related to the top level, or the number of 7 is a holy number for sure, and it's also the psychic number, interestingly. So 7 in numerology depicts about past lives. It's to do with things from the past. It can be someone who's extremely psychic and spiritual, but they call on their past experiences, so they're in touch with their higher self. In your higher self, you have all of your past lives stored. It's a little bit like, your warehouse of memories. So those people usually have good access to those memories, even though it might be on an unconscious level. They would be able to pull on things that you'd think, wow, that's really amazing. They're only like 7 and yet they think they can fly a plane.
Yes, okay.
And they have all this knowledge about it and you think, wow, that's incredible. So they can access things quite well. I have a son that's a 7 life path and he's always been an extremely old soul. 8. Okay, so 8s, I say 8 because I'm an 8. 8s can be very powerful people. They usually are of great influence. It's a very auspicious number in the Chinese understandings of numbers, but it's also a number of power struggles. And so you can be the control freak, like literally, when you're an 8. It's about authority as well. So we find 8s often are very drawn to uniforms and working in uniform. Now, as you know, I worked as a paramedic for many years. And I'm married to a police officer.
So not only did you wear a uniform, but you like a man in uniform.
So there's a lot of the uniform authority stuff that we draw in when we're 8. The 8 downside, of course, again, the control, it can actually be to the point of being bullying, if someone gets to that depth or that level. But on the upside, 8s make wonderful teachers. They make very good leaders as well because they lead by example. It's a good number to be, but at the same time, it's a challenging number because you do have that. And believe me, it's taken me a lot of years to get over the control stuff. And my husband will probably tell you that I haven't quite done that yet. But it's just easier to do it yourself, I think.
As a one, I agree. You just do it on your own. I don't need anyone. It's not true though. We do need other people.
Of course we do.
But it is one of those things that we have to learn to ask for help when we need it.
It's just so, I think that's why I was so amazed by numerology when I first sort of got into it, because I thought, my goodness, this is so accurate to my personality and to the people that I knew. And when you sort of can do it in so quick, you don't have to do charts and things like that. You can sort of just work it out so fast. Now, 9s are the teachers. 9s are the old souls. I had a lot of 9s around me at one stage in my life, and that was when I was going through my learning, a lot of intensive learning over a few years. And that being an 8 for me was very, very difficult because I was so used to being in control of my life, and then all of a sudden I was dealt a lot of blows one after another. What you would call blows, I can now call them experiences, which I learnt from. But I was surrounded by 9 friends, and they're the types that come in and go, it'll be okay. Nothing lasts forever. They're the reassurers of the numerological sort of chart. And then we've got the teachers as well, the people that want to come along, and they don't only teach in schools or teach in, training type things at work. They're also just sitting down and having a cup of coffee, and they, pearls of wisdom drop out their mouth. So they can be wonderful friends that just will be there for you. The challenge of the 9 is that they come in to finish off old karma. So they can have a lot of relationships in their lives. It can be sort of like a production line of people coming and going. But it's just because they're finishing old things.
Wow.
So, and the secret there is not to get caught up in the old karma, and to be able to sort of, when it's done, let's move on.
And I've noticed as you've spoken about the different numbers, we've got from 1 to 9. So are 1s like the new sort of souls that are coming in, and 9s you're saying have got that karma? Or
No, not always. But it's a really, that's your logical mind thinking, and I think that's great. But no, because each time we have karmic lessons to come in with, we will be given a set of tools, I suppose, to use. There's no mistake that we come in under the astrological sign we're born under for the personality traits we need, and certainly the same with numerology. We are given those traits because we have certain lessons that we need to act out in this lifetime.
our life purpose.
Our life purpose.
So before we do, because I would love to talk about life purpose, I think it's a really important topic, and I think a lot of people are always searching, like you said, under cushions for our life purpose. Yes. Where is it? 11 and 22. If we can touch on the master.
Sure, yeah. The 11s are beautiful energies. They usually have the upside of them, again, very intuitive. They're the ones that are quite empathic. They can pick up on people's emotions. They know what to say and when to say it. They can be very helpful in so many ways in your life. They'll just sort of know intuitively what you need. That's the great side of them. The downside, if they're in their negative, will be that they can't make a decision to save their life, that they will be sitting on the fence, that they will always be the yes man or woman. It's like, that's the downside. So there's always going to be a balance with numbers, as in with anything in life here in the third dimension. We have to sort of know the polarities are always at work. Yeah. And the 22s, well, you could just sort of put 11 on steroids and you get 22. So the 22s, when they're in the height of, and wonderful creative people, amazingly creative people, they can be extremely smart, put things together. They're the troubleshooters. My daughter Sarah is a 22. You can actually see it in her. She goes into a business and bang, she sorted it out in 5 minutes. It's like she's done that through her whole career. They can be the best organisers on the planet. They're usually very compassionate, and they love animals. They love life. They love animals. They love everything to do with life itself. So they usually have a lot of pot plants, a lot of animals, a lot of kids, And when you look at the highest vibration of the 4, so they've got past that need for security, and they're moving into the higher vibration of the 4, which is, of course, having abundance of all things, not just money.
Oh, so it does. So you can still add those two numbers together to.
It is a higher vibration of that. So even though we don't break it down, it is a higher vibration, of course, because everything is always a higher vibration of itself when we're getting into the double digits.
So the 11 with the 2 would be that because you said those people are really about family and connection with others and having friends. So, and the same thing with the 11, it's that intense relationships and friendships and
so it's quite intense. I mean, when we are in the downside of the 11s, it can be really intense. It can be hard work. They can be hard work as partners, but when you're in the top end of the scale, they're brilliant. They're the best. They help with everything. They get up in the middle of the night to feed the baby, those sorts of things.
Oh wow, that'd be great to have a husband as an 11 then. If you want the baby looked after
as long as they're in their top vibration, yes. Yeah.
When it comes to our life purpose, I think both of us are really fortunate in our lives, especially in the current situation they're in. I found my life purpose quite young. I was only 21 when I became a stylist, and I just knew it was for me. I just felt that intrinsically inside of me that that's what I was meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And I know even when I found that, I knew how lucky I was. And of course, it's evolved over time.
I want to go into that with the 1 energy because, I mean, with the 1, we have, your leadership skills coming in here. Now, being a stylist, and I know this from being with you, I'll go out, before I met you, I would go out looking for clothes and I would look at the rack and go, oh, I can't do this today, right? I had to make a decision about something. I can't. You, being a 1, you're on it, right? You can make a decision in 5 minutes. I've been with you. You're bang, bang, bang. Okay, this will look good on you. That'll look good on you. And you pick clothes that I would never dream of picking for myself. And they did. They look good on me. So, you know, that one decision-making ability that you have, perfect.
Oh, you're always so complimentary. Thank you. Now, when it comes to following your passions, you really have had the opportunity to embrace a few different careers.
Yes, so I did music to start with and won a scholarship quite young to music. And then music is also based on numbers. That was always, music was a very big part of my life, and the vibration of the music is a healing thing as well. The basis of what I was brought up with the vibration of the music and the healing part of the music, that I think was a really important thing for me as a child, to be able to get through my abilities that were quite intense at the time. And as you know, I've got all 7 psychic senses, and so I can see, hear, smell, feel, touch, and see the future. That was hard growing up. I didn't have many friends around me at that time either, because nobody really understood me or how I work. Music can nurture people, and I think that that's something we all do when, you know, we've got a broken heart or whatever. We sit and listen to sad songs. It's about, you know, the nurturing energy of the music. Everything comes to vibration, as I said. The paramedic side of me was really interesting because I'm a 6-day lesson. So 6 is about the compassion. The day-to-day life is the day lesson. So that's your birthday, the day you were born on. You're an 8. Okay, so that's your control stuff.
Exactly. I practice that so much. Releasing control. It's a lifelong journey, that one.
I was giggling to myself the other night when we were talking about your son leaving, and you saying, no, you're not. I'm like, that's all right, control stuff.
My son's decided to go to university not near where we live, and I keep telling him, no, you can't leave me.
So these things pop up for us in all different aspects of our life. But, you know, the paramedic in me is still there. But then I look at, you know, how this has shaped me for what I do today. I've always been a psychic medium all the way through everything else. That's always been there. But those experiences I can draw upon in my work now. And so I use music in healing. I use the vibrational solfeggio frequencies. I understand music. I understand how it can heal the different frequencies of our chakras. That came to me because of what I learnt then. And then being a paramedic, I'm also able to pick certain aspects of things that are wrong with the body, where the vibration may be wrong, but I know the body because of my training in Anat and Phys. So, you know, you have, nothing is ever wasted, and you have different aspects of yourself that will come out in different times of your career path. So if you've had several careers, like I have, or just one like you have, it's all down to what you needed at the time and the vibration that you needed at the time.
Yes, and the other thing too is everything does sort of change. And as I've gone through the journey of styling, I've realised that it really came back to self-love. And I believe as a 1, we were saying that the negative side is the selfishness.
Yes.
But the plus side of being selfish is actually you do really learn to love yourself and look after yourself first, so that you can look after and love those around you. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I've been able to incorporate into my business, to be able to help people not only with the external but the internal as well. Yeah. And like yourself, we're both so passionate about our life purpose. For those that haven't found their life purpose, how do you think that they can uncover that?
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, to start with, numerology is a great tool. Just to understand, you know, and there's plenty of places on the internet that they could go put their birth date in and find out what their life path is, what their life purpose is. Those things, when you start reading them and you can relate them to yourself, I always find it interesting in the classes that I do. And I do classes on this. I actually have a course called the Divination course, and we do numerology in that course, and we do tarot, and we do a few other modalities. But I find in this part, it's like people will read it and go, I'm not like that. And then their friend will read it and go, yes, you are. Actually owning your stuff. You've got to look at things truthfully about yourself. And we don't always see things about ourselves that other people see in us, good or bad. So if you have something you want to improve on, then I think numerology is a great tool too, because there's obviously the light and the shade in each number. So if you're in the negative aspect of that number, if you're the victim, if you're always sort of feeling bad about yourself or other people, maybe we need to sort of change our attitude up a bit and see where we could actually achieve, right? From what you were saying about the 1. Your leadership skills come out in the job you do, and you're a super nice person, you're not selfish. So you've obviously overtaken that part of the negative aspect of the 1. But understanding that you can slip back into that at any time, you know, because that's just the way things are. It depends on what your attitude is. Same with me and the 8. When I get super stressed, I get really controlling. And I know that that's a trigger for me. You know, I will want the bedroom clean as the whistle.
And it is good to know the positive, and we can call them negative, but just the aspects of ourselves and where we want to play and what position we do want to be in. When we're conscious of how our reactions are, we can change them very quickly.
Yeah.
I know when it comes to life purpose, I've read some really amazing books around life purpose, and they often will get you to think about the things that you love to do in your life, the things that come naturally to you. Sometimes your dress can give you a clue about your life purpose as well.
Absolutely.
And this particular accountant this day, I was in her wardrobe and I was looking at all of her clothes, and it didn't look like an accountant's wardrobe. It kind of was a bit more fun and had a little bit more vitality than what you would associate with something that's quite professional and traditional in terms of work. And when I dug a little deeper, I found out she actually wanted to be a nutritionist, but never did it.
There you go.
But I could see in her wardrobe that it wasn't, that she wasn't reflecting who she really was. I think that sometimes if you're going to work and you're putting on your clothes and you're not feeling it, it might not actually be the clothes as such. It's actually something inside of you that's calling out for a different role or a different position or a completely different job.
Well, it is interesting, isn't it? Because we spoke about uniforms before, and I know that firsthand, you know, putting on the uniform made you feel almost like you had armour on. Made you feel like you had a level of respect from people because, hey, you know, I've got this uniform on, so therefore I've done the training and I have the knowledge to be able to help you. And then the uniform represented that. So it doesn't matter really whether you're in a pretty dress or whether you're in a suit. It's a uniform when you think about it to whatever you're doing. Oh my God, I've got a new book for us, Styling by Numbers.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps.
I love it. We can totally do styling by numbers. It would be really good for people to understand how
I think it would.
Their life path and with their clothing would
and
be representative.
I'd say each colour would represent a number too, because it's all vibration, and it's like red is a 1 for sure. Leadership, you know, like bang, look at that, we've got the red.
And if we think of yellow, that would be 2 for friendship.
Yes,
We've got this.
We're
going
to do it.
So when it comes to numerology, when we think about the year just gone and the year coming ahead,
our years are really important actually. So in your birth date, you have, obviously your life path with your year you're born. You can actually do your year purpose or the lesson for that year by adding your day, your month, and the current year that we're in. So when you look at this current year that we've just moved into, 2021, that's a 5-year. Now last year, the Earth was in a 4. So 2020, 2 and 2 was 4, okay? So that would mean that because you were born on the 8th of the 8th, okay, so we have 16/7, we've got then you adding to the 5, so you're in a year 3. So when you're in a year 3, you're going to be all about the communication. You're doing a podcast. Ta-da!
Fascinating.
You're fulfilling one of the aspects of the 3-year. The other aspect of a 3-year is about self-improvement. We were talking about that before. So we can, go to the gym, get fit, do all those things that we want to improve our physical bodies. Our physical mind may be also that you want to learn more, that you want to, and I know that you read a lot, taking in that knowledge. Your spiritual mind could be you want to do more meditation. In a 3-year, you're going to be definitely expressing yourself in different ways, and your communication to the world will come in various different ways.
That's amazing. So I just want to clarify again what you did there. So you added the day of my birth, then the month, and then the current year.
And the current year. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And it always follows the same sort of line as the general meaning around the numbers. Now, of course, you can go online, you'll read lots of different intrinsic things about the numbers and personality traits, and that's terrific, and I would encourage people to do that. But I'm looking at an overall general sense because we don't have a lot of time and this isn't a all-day workshop. I'm just looking at the general sense of what the numbers mean.
So last year we were in a 4.
Yes, so the 4, of course, the security year. So when you look at what happened last year, gosh, our security was challenged, wasn't it? 4 is about the home. We spent an awful lot of time in the home.
We did. That's so funny.
It was sort of forced on us, but we had to. But that's just a reflection of that security as well. I think that the earth itself, as a populace, the human race was severely challenged with security last year, worried about this virus, worried about their financial security. It really brought home to us what was important.
Going into this new year,
we're in a 5, which is exciting. Of course, as I said, I love the 5s. The 5s are expansion, travel, adventure. Hey, there's going to be a cure, or there's going to be something coming up here about what's been happening. And when I say cure, I'm not meaning the virus, I'm meaning the situation around our planet at the moment. So there's going to be a relief from what we've been going through. And that expansion can also mean new things coming in that we could say, hey, we've got a new injection of things that are happening around us, which we've never seen before. You're going to see things that will blow your mind. And we're going to be talking about this a little bit later in podcast, but we're going to be talking about the fact that they're disclosing UFOs now. That's never been happening before because they've always been frightened of what people may think. Now it's coming out. There's so much new evidence and new things that are going to be shown to us through this year 5 that people are going to grow really quickly, intellectually, and expand on their awareness.
Knowing this information, it helps us in what way?
Well, it allows us to see, I think, probably more truth. And when I say that, what I mean is that, we both know this, that there's been stuff hidden. People know it anyway. Intrinsically, they know that governments hide things from us. But a lot more truth is going to be coming out. And so therefore, we're going to be given more choices. We're going to be able to live our lives the way that we see fit. And that not so much go down the line or toe the line that we've had to before. Of course, being sensible and safe is very important, but at the same time, making your own choices for yourself is equally as important. And when I'm talking about that sort of thing, it's more about making good choices for yourself, being more aware about not having to hide who you are, being able to come out and be the person that you want to be without fear of judgment of other people.
That's about communication as well.
Correct.
And opening up our chakras. So if we're thinking about that back to our chakras in at 5, where would that be?
Well, we're talking about our throat chakra. We're talking about our heart chakra at the same time. So when you're looking at the heart chakra was basically all about understanding love, understanding self-love, making sure that you don't judge yourself first. If you're not judging yourself, then you won't judge others.
This is very, very true.
Because you're not comparing yourself to anyone.
It's going to be a very interesting year coming up.
I can't wait. I've been waiting for this forever, right? So I knew that this year was going to be a great one. I was told about this when I was young. I think I was about 13, and I had a dream about 2021, and it was going to be an amazing year.
Enjoy finding out your life path. If you've got any questions around your personal purpose, feel free to shoot us an email.
Absolutely. And we will a little bit later on also be talking about partnerships as well with numerology, because that can be a really great way of finding someone that really fits with you.
Definitely. Relationships are so important, and knowing those people around you. And like you said, what a quick way to do a quick add up to know somebody. Plus, you do have a website coming out very soon, very exciting.
Can do a plug on that one.
For couples, yes. Well, that's very exciting.
Find My Soulmate. Yeah, it's starting up in February. We're hoping all ready to go by February, but you can go to findmysoulmate.net to have a look and register if you're interested.
Very exciting. Thanks for listening to the Divine Style podcast with Gerlinda, Stella and Alison Maiden. Please follow, share and tune in weekly for more spiritual and self-love guidance. You can find us and ask questions at gerlinda.com.au and alisonmaiden.com.